Welcome back to another episode of Twisted Metal Companion. Over there, cattail in the way is Tyler. How
Yep,
you doing, sir?
doing good. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good. Excited for the release of season two coming up soon. Which, by the way, I know some of our followers from over the pond. They've been asking if I've heard anything for the UK folks, and from what I've seen, it does appear that season two will come out on August 1st on Paramount Plus. I believe that's also for Canada, based off of one of the actors that I follow on social media. So if you have the subscription, check on the Twisted Metal page to see if there's any updated details. I've been trying to tweet at them, trying to figure out if the episodes are being released any like at different times. Are we getting all like the first three episodes at midnight Pacific, or is it going to be so that I'm trying to find out, and I haven't been very successful on that front, but keep it locked here for any updates. But that's at this point, it feels gonna be a midnight drop for the Pacific time. I think
Yeah, that's what I would guess.
I there's a superherohype.com. So they had written an article and said that the first three episodes was dropping at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern. And that seems to be, I think Netflix does the same thing. Like whatever the date is, it's always going to be that midnight on the west side because that's where their headquarters are. So until I hear anything different, that's all I've heard. So I think we can just really jump into it at this point. Episode 9 of season one, Roadkill. This was directed by Kitao Sakurai and written by Grant DeCurnian and Becca Black. Becca Black was also one of the extras in the 1989 Two Scoops audience, live audience there. She's seen there. Um, and oh, I don't have the description. Hold on. The Peacock description is unexpected allegiances begin to form. Quiet gets to work, and John makes amends. Quiet gets to work. Hmm. Do you agree with that? Does she get to work in this episode?
I mean, she's setting out on her own, when we first see her, so I guess yeah, a little.
Yeah.
That's not how
It,
I would describe it.
Same. I questioned it just because of how they describe the preacher character for episode 8. An out of control opponent. I mean, I guess, you know, it's Coke Jesus, it's fine. Tyler, what did you think of this episode?
Yeah, this one's a lot of fun coming back to the convoy. I had forgotten, that this, they wraps back around. Uh, and so yeah,
Let
it
me
was
ask you this.
nice
What
surprise.
did what did you remember from this episode?
Oh, not a whole lot. Like really just the kind of I knew that, John and Wyatt had to get back, like find their way like back to each other. And I remember that the Sweet Tooth and Stu and Mike like are
Hmm.
kind of like all of their paths, or we're seeing their paths kind of like heading to the same point. But I really outside of that, like I didn't really remember much.
Yeah, so shame on me for not remembering some of the details here. Peacock has shared a reel from this episode. It's when Quiet knocks over like food on the convoy, and then Watts comes up. It's like, God damn it, Quiet. And so I thought it was a deleted scene from episode 4. I was texting Tyler, and I was just like, "Hey, deleted scene or something." And someone did correct me in the comments and said it was from episode 9. And I'm like, "Oh, well, that makes a lot of sense." I completely forgot the convoy returns. Which at least like, prior to the actual face-off, because I remember like Amber and Tinker and Watts being part of the vehicular manslaughter, but I forgot that they kind of rescued John and Quiet in a sense, and we'll get to those details. But what I did remember was the doe that Quiet almost runs over, the roadkill. So that's part of the
Mm-hmm.
name game there, an actual literal roadkill that they come across, the vehicle roadkill. Trying to think of, oh, and then the roadkill that they are served basically for lunch. So if there's anything else, you can throw it out. But I remember that. Vaguely remember the Stu, Mike, and Sweet Tooth sequence in the beginning. I do remember them. It's funny because I remember them in the semi with Roadkill. I just forgot that they were rescued by the convoy. And let me see what else. Oh, and I remember Mark the Vulture. That's pretty
Oh
much
yeah,
it. Yeah,
yeah. Vienna sausages playing a
right.
prominent role.
Yes. They really do. And it's funny too because Diani Rodriguez, when we interviewed her, she had given me some of her personal like videos and pictures, from her day of filming some of the sequences. And so I was like, oh, that's interesting. She happened to be like on location when they were filming Quiet, crashing from swerving away from the dough, not remembering that, oh, well, Amber and Watts like show up to rescue Quiet. So that makes sense why she was there now,
Mhm.
so yeah, I mean, this we're going back 2 years ago, and
Yeah.
so a lot has happened since then, obviously. We will go ahead and get into the episode unless you had anything else to kind of add.
No. Yeah. Let's get into it.
Okay. All right. So we this really could be like the line of the episode. The Marcus is your line. We start off with without any visual. All you hear is audio. It is kind of faint and a sweet tooth. And that, my friend, is why I wipe back to front. What do you think preceded that statement?
I've been puzzling it out, trying to figure out what the scenario was that convinced him that direction, versus the other one. Uh, yeah, I hopefully that's a deleted scene, or
Yes.
learn what horrible story Sweet Tooth was telling.
It must have been something like, oh, if you ever find yourself in a new prison, and just don't wipe the ass because maybe, you just live an extra day or something. Who knows? Many of us have seen Shawshank Redemption, and maybe that's what it was in reference of. Um, Sweet Tooth opens up the back door or the back of his ice cream truck, and we see that Mike's in the back. Stu's or Sweet Tooth says, "Puppy, want to help?" And Mike says, "Yeah, puppy, want to help." And Stu says, "Yeah, that's a good bitch." So he's trying to kind of placate to Sweet Tooth here. Um, Now, what did you think about like Mike in the back here with I guess a shock collar on, and also how Sweet
Mhm.
Tooth treats him?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like Mike's having a good time now after being captured, and Stu is really lording over him now in his new position of power. Like
Yeah.
he is taking out some anger for being shot at.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's still upset from the attempted assassination there from Mike. Sweet Tooth yanks Mike out of the vehicle onto the floor, and he slides a good couple of feet. Mike sees a couple of dead bodies and questions Stu if he killed those guys, and he says, "Yeah, but Sweet Tooth did most of it." And I like how Sweet Tooth he tries to give him some credit for like a nerdy guy and adds like he may have even hit an artery.
Yeah, he's nice. He's building him up, which
Yeah,
that's more than we saw like between Mike and Stu.
that's
When
fair.
they were first together. Like
Absolutely.
Sweet Tooth is very supportive.
Yeah, he really is. I mean, they're S brothers that Stu is about to tell Mike about. Um, Sweet Tooth instructs Mike to load the vehicle up with missiles. I did see the crates in the background said USAF, so that's United States Air Force, where they're taking them from. Squirts him with a spray bottle, which I believe has urine because he at least fills it up with
Mhm.
urine. Okay,
Yeah,
that
I
was
had to pause and look, and the little bit that's left in there looks yellow tinted.
okay. All right. So he says he needs to go fill it up. Mike and Stu have a back and forth about their friendship here. And I like how Mike tells Stu that he does give two fucks about him, and it reminded me of when Quiet tells John she doesn't give two soggy dumps about his ex. So two seems to be a common thing here. So whatever you got to say, it's always going to be two of something.
Yeah, and I had
Mike,
forgotten this part here where yeah, Mike is saying, like they've been together, essentially since like second grade. Uh,
right?
yeah, I think in the episode, when we first see him, I probably had at or wondered, like how these two like got together. And yeah, it totally dropped out of my mind.
Go back since second grade when they used to throw crayons in the back of Carter the oh gosh, did I write it down? No, Carter Deloro's head. And I looked it up.
Yeah.
The only Deloro that I found was a Rosa Deloro, who is a congresswoman from Connecticut, I believe it was, Democratic. So
Hmm.
that's the only connection I found. Couldn't find an Instagram account or nothing. So who knows if this is actually somebody that they know or a combination of Jimmy Carter and Rosa DeLauro. I don't know. So very interesting. Um, let's see here. This moment between the two, broken up by the return of Sweet Tooth, saying that he needs to hydrate a little bit more. Dropped a few kidney stones apparently, and Sweet Tooth senses something's up and questions if something's wrong. And Stu says that they were just talking about shooting stuff and killing things, and Mike adds and tits. And Tyler, I don't know if you saw the
Yeah.
reel that I made recently. The
No.
quiet doing the Cockney accent, like, oh, I like shooting and guns, or shooting and killing, I do, or guns and killing, right? Whatever the line
Yeah.
was, yeah. And it's funny that Stu says like something almost similar, like, oh yeah, we were just talking about like killing things, shooting stuff.
Seems like a common interest to share on the road. Whoever you run
Right.
into,
Well,
those they probably like those two things.
at least these two just like, oh, that's the thing that men talk about, shooting and killing. So it's almost as if Mike doesn't include himself in that. He has to come up with something that he thinks Sweet Tooth wants to hear. And Mike's addition of tits, yes, and titties, I think Stu says. Stu then tells Sweet Tooth that Stone thinks they're dead and that they can start over, but Sweet Tooth says, nah, he's got a better idea. Does Stone think they're dead?
I mean, I
Because
guess like just
so
because he thought Mike killed Stu, so he thought
right,
Stu
right.
was dead, and then I think just because I don't think he thought anyone else got out alive, from that situation.
Yeah, I mean, because Sweet Tooth did kill like that one unnamed random lawman, so you would think he hasn't heard from anybody yet to report in. I don't know. It's it's not something you want to question, but I did question when he said that. I was like, wait, does he know that? I had to think about it a bit.
That
Um,
saying that might be Stu just kind of grabbing at straws there, just
hmm,
like any way to divert them from going
that's a
forward.
good point. Yeah, that's much more in line with his character. We cut to all three of them inside the ice cream truck, and Mike and Stu have Juggalo type face paint on them. Is that the read you had too, or did you?
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, yeah. Just kind of, yeah. They're both painted up like clowns.
okay. I wasn't sure if there was like a specific look, and that my naivete, I just kind of went to that. I believe that's also something we mentioned during like our kind of roundtable season one recap.
Mhm.
Um, Let's see here. The opening sequence ends. Oh, nope. Let me go back a little bit. Harold apparently got Sweet Tooth some some lighter fluid. And did you have any observations on of Sweet Tooth as he's emptying the bottle onto his head? Just kind of how
No,
like
yeah,
Samoa Joe was playing it.
yeah. I mean, it's just dousing himself
Yeah.
in that. Yeah.
Once he pours it onto his head. If you look, his eyes roll back and he starts kind of doing this like, he's feeling like ecstasy, just the lighter fluid touching his head. So it's like he's really like just selling it that oh this feel oh
Yeah.
finally lighter fluid. Yeah, just it's a really great physical acting from Samoa Joe. You got to watch that again. But the eyes rolling, that's the one that got me. I was just like, man, he's really into this, being really turned on. It's like a Diddy party. Let's see. So I mentioned the emptying the bottle. The opening sequence ends with Sweet Tooth asking Stu to do the honors and hands him a long neck lighter and tells him that he'll tell him when. And then we're just gonna come back to them later. We come back from a break and we see John still walking around the around shortly. Oh, it must be. Oh,
It's
okay. The dictation added a period where it wasn't supposed to be.
oh yeah, yeah. He's kind of
Shortly
walking
after,
around the wreckage.
right. From the last previous episode, he walks into the chop shop and finds Quiet's axe on the ground, and he says out loud, "You're an idiot, John Doe." We cut to Quiet looking at a map while driving and notices what she thinks is a vagina drawn with a crayon. And because her eyes were not on the road, she nearly runs off over a dead doe and crashes off into the shoulder. What was the thing with it's funny because this kind of almost bookends with how it opens up in the first episode, right? Where John sees like a drawn dick on the map.
Yeah,
So have we
yeah,
figured out what this means at all? Is it just a way to distract them?
yeah. I don't know if it's supposed to be like a hobo sign of like, hey, here's what you can find here, or if just idle doodling.
Right. So I think it's the latter, but it's something I would like to know. Like, what does this mean? Just because it's just so random. Um, but yeah, Quiet looks out of the window and shouts out, "Fuck you, Doe!" So he can go both ways. To the Doe, that's like literally the roadkill that made her swerve, or John Doe. So, and I do feel that when John says you're an idiot, John Doe, it was a bit of a reminder to the audience, just in case, for the casual watchers, you forgot that, John goes by John Doe. So, we cut back to John, who is looking for the package. He can't find it. And right here, he says, "God damn it, Quiet." Now, how did you read that? Because we're going to find out that he's down to basically 48 hours left to make that delivery. Um, and the 48, uh, the text that shows up on screen, that's after he says "God damn quiet." So was it because she took it without? I mean, he doesn't know that she thought he was dead.
Yeah, yeah. He doesn't know that, but yeah, I think like just it's probably this is my this was my
Mm,
job, and so like now now I have to like find you, and yeah, he only has 2 days 2 days left to do it.
right.
But yeah, I don't think yeah he doesn't know that she thinks that he's dead. He probably thinks that she just like when she left, she actually just left immediately,
Mm.
took the package and left.
All right. Yeah, yeah. Because for all he knows that it was before the explosion, you know.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. We cut to John trying to hotwire a car. Then there's some static over the CB radio, and perhaps a light bulb goes off in his head. And then we cut to Quiet, and she's having difficulty trying to push the car back into the road. And what do you think about Mark the Vulture, who shows up here? And she insists, "Go ahead, kill him. It'll be like his easiest kill."
Yeah, the first impression that he gets is probably like, oh, this person isn't really, a threat, since she's just kind of offering herself up to be killed. But he's a personable vulture, like he knows when to just take a moment, sit down, eat some sausages, and connect with someone on the road, even if he has still has the intention to rob her.
Yeah, I like him because you're right, he does seem personable. There's like a cut to like after Quiet has explained everything. She was just like, "Man, that milkman," or he says that milkman did you wrong or something like that. And he's like, "Let me guess, he left you for," and like describes basically completely opposite of what how Quiet looks,
Yeah,
and she's like, "No, it was a car or whatever." He's like, "Ooh,
it's
kinky."
a 2002 Subaru.
There you go. I didn't realize it was 2002, but yeah, I had a friend with a blue STI WRX, and I don't know what version. John drives. So, but it sounds like it's probably released about the same year. Um, Sounds like his ex Tasha was more in love with that Heisenberg. We get a little reference to
Yep.
blue crystal meth. And it eventually killed her, and she's now doing angel dust with baby Jesus in heaven. I thought that was a fun little line. And I do love this bit of dialogue where Quiet mentions how they're being honest, and she comments like the look of the vultures, and he says something like, "Do you think I like wearing tires in my spare time?" And says, "I'm a vulture through and through." And if you're paying attention, like he's telling you, like he's basically about to rob you. So it was no
Yeah.
surprise when he does pull out the gun. So I do like that little bit of writing. Um, this is when she realizes she doesn't have her axe on her and tells him if he wants a package to go and get it. And she tosses way past him. And I think he calls her like, it says that's so childish or whatever. And he
Yeah.
turns to go get it. She tries to make a run for the backseat to grab a shotgun. And as Mark turns, he gets an arrow through the forehead from behind. And we find out it's Amber, Watts, and Tinker from the convoy. So again, when they arrived, I was like, huh, don't remember this rescue at all. Um, Had I did, like these would have came up during my interviews with both Deani and Angel. So Amber asks if she needs a lift, and we see that it was her wielding the crossbow. So something she must be really advanced with. We cut to the inside of the semi, and it appears they've been or they've commandeered Mark's vehicle. Quiet asks Watts, how did she know she was out there? To which she replies she didn't, and enters John. Amber with the assist and hands her some flowers and says that these will help. I
Yeah.
do like the kind
I'm glad they
gesture.
did.
Like, no, it didn't work, but it works for her. So, she's being really
Hmm.
nice about it. I do like that. I love how John is trying to apologize and he fucked up, but Quiet is really angry with him because he put them at risk over a car. And to the audience, I think most of us kind of understand more of like Quiet's point of view, but we also just spent like an entire last episode learning like the backstory with like him and Evelyn, and I feel like it puts us kind of in the middle a little bit, like mom and dad are fighting. I don't know if you're able to choose a side, like, is John being
No,
petty?
I mean, no, it's definitely just a both of you need to sit down and like talk to each other more because yeah, he I think it's a little bit later at some point, she's like I've lost everyone and you know that and you didn't
Right.
care, and it's, yeah, he was clouded by, his own attachment to Evelyn, but she doesn't know like how long they've been together, and it's essentially his partner, like
Mhm.
it's shelter, companion, like all that.
Right.
So yeah, they just need to sit down and hash it out.
Yeah, it's so funny because this is in episode 9. And because MJ, the showrunner, wrote on several seasons of Cobra Kai, it does remind me of the episode 9 from season 1 when Johnny and Daniel finally go to a bar and like bond over REO Speedwagon and talk about Allie, from the Karate Kid days. And so, yeah, that's it. You just need to sit down and hash things out, and you guys will be fine. Just grown-ups in on TV, they just need to talk, and it'll be okay. It is a trope where it's just if you just say that one thing to make things better,
Mm-hmm.
we wouldn't have this episode. It's just one of those. Quiet is sitting at a table, and John tries to bring food over as a peace offering. Doesn't know whether she'd prefer squirrel or possum, and which would you have preferred? And John does
Mm,
say that the chef mentioned that the possum was tender that day.
yeah, I feel like squirrels probably just eat more, like nuts and berries and things like that. And well, a possum, I just picture eating just like trash, garbage, things like that. So I would assume the squirrel would be better. You need a lot more of them though,
Right.
to equal a fat possum. I would
So
probably
it
go
sounds like
squirrel
you okay.
tacos.
Yeah, yeah. If It depends. Well, like you said, you would need a lot more squirrel to fill you up if you do like to eat. If you gave me like patties of either one, don't tell me which one is which, I feel, because I hate the look of possums in their fucking tiny little hands, you know. I
Oh yeah.
remember when I was in high school, my dad had a koi pond in the front yard, you know, and he didn't have really any protection over the pond. And in the middle of the night, I was like in the living room watching TV, probably Gilbert Gottfried's like, USA Up All Night, and I heard like rumbling, rustling in the front yard, and I opened up the curtains, and there was a possum on the bridge with a big old koi fish in its mouth, and it was like the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. I was just like, ew. And so I've always had this thing with possums in their little hands. And also on delivery one day, I there was a dead possum on my route. It was actually Route 1.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah, right
yeah.
there on Lincoln, 89th and Lincoln. Like I was coming back to the vehicle. It was a roadkill. Boom, right there on the side. It grossed me out.
Gross. That's funny. One of my earliest memories is some family staying over at our house, and I was sleeping on the floor in like the den, like family room, and someone left the door open like at night. It was like hot or whatever. Someone left the screen door open, and I don't recall any of this, but my parents telling me that a possum came into the house and like walked over me while I was sleeping, and then they had to chase it out. And I just remember the chaos of everyone freaking out, after the Saints already like left, and apparently I was the main attraction for it.
How old did you say you were? Really young? You
Oh,
don't remember?
I was probably like four, maybe
Yeah.
3 or 4, something like that.
Oh boy. Yeah, if I was your parents, I would have freaked out myself. That's my baby.
Yeah,
Oh, that's wild. Um, let's see. Yeah, Quiet knocks her plate over, and Watts comes over and has this funny bit where she says squirrels don't grow on trees, and continues, well, they kind of do, but they're hard to hit or whatever. So there's that whole funny bit. Um, she does have good news and bad news. The gist of it is because how Sweet Tooth has been hitting some of the bases, the lawmen had to retreat back to the dam, making it difficult for them to pass. So they'll have to actually go through Stone's blockade, but the convoy will help them get close, but want no part in the fight. Right? Was that because there's a lot of back and forth, so I try to like,
yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah. They can't go through the dam. There's too many people, and yeah, but know they do know a way through that. There's a hole that's blown through the blockade, and yeah, we'll take you there. But that's it. We don't want any part of this fight. We're heading north
right.
after we drop
That's
you
right.
off.
We cut to Stone and the lawmen at the blockade where it's a wall filled with cars stopped really high. Excuse me, I still got that bad cough.
Insanely high.
Very high.
The like construction of this thing like is a modern marvel.
And I do wonder what what kind of vehicle or whatever crane did they use to stack it? Because like we said, like when we say imagine a really tall wall, taller than that. It's pretty humongous. You can tell it's fake, but I'm always looking for like, okay, where's the seams, it is massive, but I'm like,
Where's the repeating car?
yeah, exactly. And it doesn't appear to be one. So really kudos to the special effects there. But I wonder how far does it, span left to right? Is it a big old, maybe not, I guess it's not like an actual graveyard in a sense where it's like a square that you're driving into, right? I think it's only side to side, just a wall to like a border, right? It's a border is kind of what I'm
Yeah,
understanding. Um, let's see. We cut to still okay. Yep, Lawman. I do like the look of it, and then we see Jamie and Carl Roberts both with neck braces, so that kind of answers the question you had a couple episodes ago. And what did you think of Stone's little pep talk about his grandpa, the rancher, the dogs? Basically, he's telling the lawman what's going to happen. He uses this analogy, and I think it's actually pretty good. Like I buy it. I buy into it.
yeah, yeah. He's talking, telling a story about his grandfather, having having cattle and like other than being good for cheeseburgers and whatnot, they're dumb. They'll shit on themselves. They'll shit on everything. If you leave a gate open, they'll
They're
just
dumb like
destroy
Carl.
things. Yes, dumb like Carl. And But he also has dogs, that would keep the herd in line. So if one goes astray, it'll bring them back. And yeah, likening them to themselves, the lawmen, to the dogs, and essentially everyone else, but specifically, he says the mute and the milkman, are the stray in the herd that need to be brought back in line, and that they're not going back to the way things used to be.
Yeah.
Which I mean, the way things used to be was, I don't know, civilization and order. Uh, so I
Yeah,
guess he's really liking his position in life right now.
he does.
And then he ends with
Uh,
Baba Booey.
yes, thank you. I was about to ask you. I had to look it up, and it's a
Okay,
reference to Howard Stern and stuff. Did
yeah.
you know anything,
Oh yeah,
any
I've
other
I've listened
context?
to very little Howard Stern, but I've seen enough other things reference. Someone suddenly running in somewhere and just yelling Baba Booey," Howard Stern's penis, Baba Booey."
Hmm.
It must be something
Okay.
from the show. I
It is.
don't know. I just
Well,
I know that it's
apparently, like
related to him.
I also don't tune into any Howard Stern. I haven't seen Private Parts, but I believe a producer of his mispronounced a character from a cartoon. It's supposed to be Baba Louie, and he said Baba Booey,
Okay,
and I think that has always just
just
stuck. And
stuck.
now, yeah, and I guess people kind of make that reference when like something goes bad or a pitch or something. I don't know. I looked it up and I was just like, it still made no sense to me. So I was hoping that I could get some insight from you on that. But it's Stone. Yeah, you know what? That's his word of the day. That's probably what it
Uh,
is.
yeah, and it seems like, yeah, he's taken it, and uh it almost seems like a let's go team. Like,
Right.
we're like, here's the plan, Baba Booey.
Yeah, that's it. We cut to John and Quiet, who are both working on some minor tune-ups on their new vehicle. Quiet is trying to pry open the glove compartment, and she finally gets it open and finds a can of Vienna sausages and a mixed CD titled "Sex Tunes for Tasha." When's the last time you had Vienna sausages?
Oh, never. Yeah,
Yeah,
never.
I feel like I've tried them. I can probably count how many times I've tried them, and they're just they don't they feel like smushy hot dogs, right? Like they look like
The,
little hot dogs. They're almost kind
yeah.
of like bologna.
Yeah, I in my meat eating days, I love a good hot dog. I still pine for a good hot dog, but I never like, even was like, I'll never attracted enough to the Vienna sausage. It's just off-putting enough in the little can, and then the water. It's like, ugh.
Right. Yeah. Um. I don't mind. Yeah, I haven't tried it in a really long time, but I feel it's something that, you could put in a makeshift MRE, a meal ready to eat for people that
Mhm.
like to go camping or what have you. Um,
There's a guy in my high school who I remember for lunch would just eat like a grapefruit and a can of Vienna sausages, and it's
uh,
just, I don't know. He's getting some very specific combination of vitamins.
I think he was preparing himself for college, right? Like instead of ramen noodle or whatever, that's what you're going with.
Yeah.
Um, the mix CD, I don't know if you noticed, but the S's were written kind of like the Stussy S's.
Oh, is that the cool S?
Yeah,
Is it the
you
three
do the six
lines and the three
lines.
lines? Yeah.
Right. So
Okay.
it's that's a Stussy, it's a brand. You're not familiar? You never heard of Stussy?
I'm familiar with the no, I'm familiar with the S, but I've always just known it as cool S. Uh,
Oh, okay. So I'll have to look into it more, but the Stussy, if I remember correctly, they also used to have like a crown, on the top of the S. So if you don't make the point as an S, you can make kind of like a jester crown. It was very much like Jinkos. They were wide leg jeans.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So just a clothing
Um,
brand.
Yes, yes. And my next note was Mark might be showing his age a little bit, because Stussy, I remembered it from like the mid 90s, maybe early 90s, not so
Mhm.
much into like, into the early aughts. Um, let's see, Stussy, Mark, yep. We jump cut to both of them working on the vehicle. John's wrench tips over. John asks Quiet to hand it over, and instead she chucks it at him. He insists they talk it out, but she unloads on him and tells him how she felt to witness the explosion and she thought she lost him. And her voice breaking made it even more sad. So just another great performance from Stephanie Beatriz.
Yeah.
Um, she then slashes a tire and says it's got a leak. Then we jump cut to Quiet waking up and she sees John is still working on the vehicle and goes back to what she was doing. She opens the glove compartment and finds her axe that she lost. John had found it and engraved Sh, Shhhh on the end.
Oh
And do you
yeah.
get the sense like he engraved that like while she was sleeping, or did he do that like prior to picking her up on the road?
Yeah, I took it as yeah during after their fight, when she goes to sleep. Yeah, I'm sure some tinkerer probably has something to
Hmm.
engrave in the metal or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good point. There must be a tool or something because I go that couldn't have been easy to sleep through, if he was doing some of that stuff. So, and there was a second axe that was in the glove compartment as well. Basically said it was going to be a surprise. Uh, and says he does say he can remove it if she didn't like it, but she says it's fine. And I do like the way she delivers it's fine. It's very much like, okay, we're almost to me accepting your apology here, but this is a good first step kind of thing.
Hmm.
John monologues an apology and tells her what the past 10 days have been like. Sorry, can you do you have any notes on this part? I really need a cough.
Yeah, he's pretty much saying, apologizing again, like I fucked up. Evelyn's been my home for 20 something years. And he's always told himself that like he's not going to go back to feeling like that, feeling alone, not
Right,
having
like the
anything.
sad little boy.
Uh, yeah, and yeah, exactly. He thought losing Evelyn would mean that he's just going to be a little boy again, sad and alone. Uh, and uh, and yeah, he kind of like recalls their relationship, up to this point.
Mm,
They tried to kill each other. They've been fighting. They was it did
he
interesting
killed
things to
a
each other's
yeah,
bodies in a ball pit.
that's a good line. I do wonder what's the interesting thing because I feel that's like aside from your traditional you know, having sex. Like, what else did you guys do that was interesting for John?
Yeah,
Because we are going to find out that
both.
he's had a BJ before, so that couldn't have been it.
Yeah, what was the new thing that he
Right.
had happen to him?
It's got to be from the Granny Sutra.
Oh yeah.
That's what it is. He does add that he says that he's better with her and that maybe she's better with him too. And here's when they are under fire and are hit by a drive-by. We hear over the radio there's casualties, and also others are requesting a medic. And we see the convoy start arming themselves. John convinces Quiet to add a bulletproof windshield, and she compares his reaction to reaction of receiving his first BJ. And I
Mhm.
do like this little back and forth where you know um she brings up the BJ. He's like, "Hey, like I was." Really polite or whatever that first time. I even said thank you. She's like, yeah, you probably said please too. Like, and he
Yeah,
gives her this look like, yeah, you probably also asked for it. So yes, you should have, thanked her.
and I like the that scene where they're kind of being briefed on what's going on and choosing like weapons to get like ready to like arm the car and everything. And Quiet's looking at I don't know what kind of gun it is, a big
Right.
gun
Yeah, the big heavy
on the
one.
wall there, and yeah, and John is kind of explaining, you have uh, like armor, weapons, speed, things like that, and you have to like balance all of that stuff out. if you put too much weight, you're going to go slow. You're not going to be able to maneuver as well. And that just felt like the most video game like line of the
Oh,
show, just explaining like the trade-offs, like every every video game where you can put different parts on your car or different clothes on your like NFL player or whatever. It's just the stats go up and down, and you just have to like balance that stuff out.
yeah, you just blew my mind because immediately I started thinking about those meters on like Mario Kart at the arcade.
Oh yeah,
You know,
yep,
yeah, you get like Bowser's vehicle and that's going to be too heavy, but if you get the right wheels on it, you can drift better or whatever. Yeah,
yep,
100%. That's what that is. Um, let's see. He puts. I might be jumping ahead here. Okay. They do have a back and forth over what kind of comes naturally, like driving. I felt that was kind of slowed down the dialogue a little bit. Like you guys just got hit by a drive-by or something, and now you guys are talking about
yeah.
like, oh, think about it, a baby, doesn't know how to drive.
Yeah, it's like the tension like ramps up of like, oh, we're being attacked, but then it kind of feels like it's rolling into like an action scene, like they're going to fight the lawmen that are outside right now. But yeah, it kind of just like dies back down, and they're just getting the car ready again to
Yeah,
go out and
yeah.
head towards the blockade.
I don't know if yeah, it's really weird because yeah, I don't even know. I can't say it's the editing, but it's a way if they're being hit by a drive because they're already going towards the blockade, right?
Yeah,
Right, because that was their plan, and so if they're being hit by a drive-by, you almost want to go in a different direction because they didn't just drive by and then leave you guys there. It's yeah, I don't know, but they needed to get
yeah, and
into
it
this vehicle,
seems like yeah, Stone and them would be like, oh, they're heading right to where we want them to go anyway. So
Mhm.
it's a weird move to then attack them, because you would think that would prompt them to divert, go somewhere else or something. But yeah,
I think for pacing, you do want to break it up because if they were having the discussion, um, I don't know, it would feel kind of it would feel really long just to get to like adding the windshield and the whole balancing thing. So you have to, break it up with something. And so having this little ambush where I think I think we're gonna learn from Watts that three of their drivers were also killed during that
yeah.
moment as well.
But yeah, I like
So
that the that conversation that they're having about the driving, or Quiet's asking how John learned how to
mm,
fix like the car and how to do all this stuff. And he's like, oh, you just keep trying different pieces till you find the one that fits. And that doesn't
right,
make any sense to her. And he's like, well, it's like breathing or driving. It just comes natural. Where she gets the line like, babies don't know how to drive. Think about that, which just blows his mind.
right.
But it kind of, I like that it kind of hints towards clearly John, because like when we first see him when he's a kid, like he was behind the wheel, so he was driving already. And so like from that point to, because he, lost his memory, he thinks that just like, oh, I've just always known how to drive. But then
Mm,
there's, clearly someone, his father or something, a mother, whoever, like has taught him these things beforehand. He just doesn't remember where that knowledge came from, or just it kind
right.
of feels like they're hinting towards like uh, kind of this past before that.
Oh, that's interesting. It's funny because I actually have that line down and I completely missed it because I said they go back and forth over what comes naturally or not, like driving. But before that, it says she asks, "How does he know how to fix vehicles?" And he explains, "Just try every piece until you find the one that fits." So they get in the car and he looks at the family photo and puts it back up on the visor like he previously had with Evelyn. And I do like how they decide on the name of the vehicle, Roadkill. It's funny because like
Mm-hmm.
Wyatt even asked him, "Well, how'd you come up with Evelyn?" He's like, "Well, it's she just felt like an Evelyn." And I immediately thought to myself, I go, "No, you didn't. You found a license plate. We just saw that episode." And then he says, "And like I found the license plate or whatever." She calls him a thief. So, um, Let's see. Quiet puts on Mark's mix CD, and they head towards New San Francisco. At least she says like New San Francisco or bust. We come
I
back from yeah.
I was surprised John's reaction to the mixed CD. See, he says, oh, like he's repulsed by the idea of putting in a mixed CD. So it's like Russian roulette, and I would think, you'd every mixed CD is it's a fun adventure to see, what you're gonna get out of it.
Yeah, I mean, even finding a brand new CD, we saw a few episodes ago where he, is going through the bookcase and it's quiet that tells him about Hanson. He easily could have put that in and it would have been the same thing. Russian roulette, you don't know what song's going to be good, so
Yeah.
I don't buy that, John. But I do like we'll probably talk about it a little bit later, but the song come is Epic by Faith No More is the first one,
Mhm.
and it's one that they like. Um, we come back from okay, so we come back from a break and they arrive at the blockade. They drive through cautiously, and John says resisted. And Quiet questions, why he said that, and he points out there's cars spray painted with the word resisted on it, including the vehicle her and Loud took earlier. And she figures Stone is there, and we see Stone in the tower waiting to snipe at John and Quiet. And a blue road flare goes off, signaling the lawmen to ambush the convoy. Did you catch what Carl was saying before they
Yeah, I'm gonna make truck nuts out of your ball sack, milkman.
I thought that was a pretty good line. Good line, good
So
delivery. Um
disturbed
I
to hear the truck nuts have survived the fall.
yeah. Uh Q okay, yeah, Quiet calls for help and Watts suits up and prepares to get into Twister. And at this point they hear the ice cream truck theme, which is the wheels on the bus that we heard the end of episode one. And because Sweet Tooth likes to make a grand entrance, it fires off at least a couple missiles, causing a couple explosions. And this is the moment he tells Stu to light him up, and we finally get to see that iconic look with a flaming head. And this is where it ends. It's funny because I remember watching this episode for the first time when that came. I go, "Oh, that's right, yeah, the flaming head." So I thought it was interesting that they saved it, for like an opportune moment, like,
Yeah.
not giving us, keeping not keeping their eggs in one basket, right? So you give that too early, then you have nothing else to reveal later.
Well, and it's the kind of thing that like when you hear that a Twisted Metal TV show is happening, and Sweet Tooth's going to be a character, and like if you're familiar with the games, you're familiar with him having like a flaming head. It's the kind of thing that you just assume like, well, they're not gonna do that because that's too far fetched. That's too like it's not realistic having a clown walking around with fire on his head. But yeah, they wedge it in and make it make sense. And yeah, it's a limited thing.
Yeah, it's really earned. Loved it. Let's see here. Best line of the episode. The Marcus is your line. So I wrote a few down, and yeah, I don't want to cheat by having you go first, and then in case you have it, I'll go with a different one. So I'll just go with what I do feel is the best line. So I wrote down. We kind of talked a little bit about it. It's when John was recapping like the past 10 days. This is what we gone through. What he adds to that is, I can't imagine day 11 without you. And I thought that was very sweet and sincere. And so,
Yeah.
and then my runner up was we did interesting things to each other's bodies in a ball pit. So, what was your
uh,
line of the episode?
the first line that we get, and that, my friend, is why I wipe back to front.
Yeah, I had a feeling that would come up somewhere. I was like, oh man, there's no swear words, but that would be a damn good one to have. The best character of this episode, I went with somebody who I won't be able to really use in the future. I have Amber because she saves Quiet.
Hmm. Yeah, Mark is who I have. It's nice
Mark
getting
the
the
Vulture.
like, yeah, getting the different gangs, similar to Kreven,
Oh yeah,
just getting like the, not a leader, not someone who's in a position of power, but just, random guy, and yeah, he's able to sit there to divulge his exes, drama and stuff like that, but still get back to work because he's a vulture through and through.
Yeah, I do like the where he's talking about Tasha, his ex, and he says, I forget the words, but he says like, oh, we were thick as thieves, and she's like, sounds like you guys were just thieves,
Yeah.
there's something like that, and I love that delivery, and Mark's just like, just kind of reminiscing about her. Best costume I have Watts, because we've already seen what Miranda Watts has looked for, these couple of episodes. At the very end of this episode, we see her suit up in her driver's suit, that really matches her vehicle Twister. So I love that
Hmm.
look.
Yeah, I had the same thing.
Oh, okay, Watts. Okay. Best death. Best death I had was Mark with the arrow to the forehead.
Yeah, I had the same one. I think that's the only death uh, that we see on screen.
You could be right. Yeah, everyone else is probably off screen. Well, I mean, we have like the two soldiers, I guess, in the beginning, but they were already dead, so I guess
Yeah,
they don't count, right? The bodies. So I guess you're right. Mark is
I
probably the
mean,
only one.
you can I guess like fill in the blanks for how Stu and Sweet Tooth killed them.
Right. Post fall slang, I didn't have anything.
I chose Baba Booey just because it seemed
Okay.
like Stone is using it in a different way, uh,
That's fair. Yeah,
and
like
then
Jello.
I know it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Kill Music, the needle drop of the episode, Epic by Faith No More was really the only song I picked up on. Um,
Yep.
Yeah, I still, because this is the first season and we're going through these episodes for the first time, I haven't really gotten a sense of any of the writers' like strengths when it comes to writing. That usually I don't usually pick up on those, nor do I really hear about their strengths until like further into the show's run, several seasons in. And so when I was watching this episode the first time for note taking, I was like, oh, is this MJ's episode? Because um the Faith No More, like I'm only familiar with that band. I don't even know how many people are in this. Yeah, I don't know if it's a solo artist and he's called Faith No More. I don't know. But he was in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, right? Like in the future. Wasn't
Mike Patton. Yeah.
is that the name of
Yeah,
the
he
okay.
that's yeah, the lead singer and like probably the lead creative for Faith No More. I don't know if
Okay.
they're like Nine Inch Nails where it's just like it's kind of just Trent Reznor, and
Okay.
then whoever is filling in. But yeah,
Yeah,
I just know Mike Patton.
so I thought I was like, oh well, MJ was, again working on Cobra Kai, and Johnny had like a van, the Eagle Fang van that was very similar to the Wallace Stalin's van. So I was like, oh, Faith No More. Maybe there was the reference to Bill and Ted, and also when John and Quiet were starting up Roadkill, he goes, all right, the moment of truth, which is a song from The Karate Kid, but also an episode title from Cobra Kai. So I was like, oh, this is definitely MJ's episode, and it totally isn't. And so I was trying to make some connections here. I often do that where I'm like really reaching. And the best use of a swear word, I have only one. I'm so sick of that fucking sound. By Stone right there at the end.
Yeah. I got it's a windshield, you fucking dork. Relax.
Yeah, I think I had considered that one. Quiet had a lot. She had a lot of swear words in this episode. I'm surprised. I didn't go with something Quiet said. Like maybe that's why I picked Stone because it's just like probably not gonna have another line from him again. So, all right, we got one episode left before season two drops. We still haven't really committed to exactly how we're gonna be covering season two. I would love to get to even if let's just say the three episodes for some weird reason release at different times. I think we would still do like, if we decide to do a live watch along, we're just gonna pick like a time that works for the both of us and just schedule it then or something. So I don't know. Details are still needing to be worked out and ironed out. But at the very least, Shangri-La, which is the season finale of season one, that's going to be our next review. Tyler, do you have anything else to kind of throw out here at the end?
No, yeah. So look forward to. I mean, we're just literally days away
Yeah,
from season
yeah,
two.
really. So looking forward to finishing that up. And for those that are also watching along, don't forget there is a stinger at the after the finale there, which is something I completely missed on my first watch, and somebody else had to kind of ask me about it. I was like, wait, I don't know about this additional sequence. So it happens at the end of the finale. So we will catch you guys on the next episode, and until then, keep it twisted.